Your presenters today are Hard Dollar Solutions Engineer Ryan Krabeck and Dexter Cheney Sales Engineer Heather Wilson. During the webinar, you'll be muted. If you have questions at the end, we'll save time for those. Our presenters will be happy to answer questions for you. Please submit them using the question function. I'm sorry, Heather Smith. Sorry about that, Heather. Heather Smith is our presenter. Please use your question function in GoToWebinar. Today's presentation will demonstrate how you can integrate Spectrum with Hard Dollar PCM to improve projects by increasing efficiency, increasing bid accuracy, saving time with estimate to budget conversion, and reducing risk and errors. Ryan Krabeck has been with Hard Dollar for 5 years and has 10 years of construction technology experience. He is a member of AACE and PMI and is extremely knowledgeable about matters related to project cost management. I don't know who Heather Wilson is, but Heather Smith has worked for Dexter Cheney for 5 years, first in the software support arena and most recently as a sales engineer. She has 10 years of accounting experience across a variety of sectors of the construction industry. Ryan will get us started today, and it's my pleasure to introduce Ryan Krabeck, who will begin today's presentation. Ryan?
Excellent, Tony. Thank you very much, and good morning and good afternoon to all of the participants. Heather, good morning to you.
Good morning as well.
Excellent. So as Tony mentioned, we are going to be discussing project controls integration. Specifically today, we will be emphasizing and highlighting the strategic partnership between Hard Dollar and Dexter Cheney in terms of our integrations and how we help our clients streamline data exchange and establish more efficient processes. So with that said, the way that we will go about today's presentation is we will just take a few minutes to allow myself and Heather to introduce our companies, and then we'll move right into the purpose of the webinar. We'll talk about some of the business issues that project controls teams face, and the results of those issues, and then transition into discussing the solution itself, and allowing us to highlight some of the areas of our product, but most importantly, really emphasizing and helping you understand the benefits of integrating such project control type systems. So let me just take 1 second to pause here. You guys are giving me the sign that, are we having any audio difficulties, or? Okay, I'm getting a sign here that there may be some folks that can't hear me. If that's the case, I guess there's not much I can say. But I will continue under the impression that everyone can hear. So as mentioned, let's take the time to simply introduce both companies. Again, I'm with Hard Dollar, and Hard Dollar is a project cost management software with core competencies in estimating and project performance tracking. And these competencies are built on an integration platform that allows us to provide our clients with a foundation to streamline the data exchange between all of their project systems within their environment, and ultimately provide a centralized repository for all of their project's cost and performance data. Hard Dollar has been serving owners, EPCs, and contractors for over 24 years with a core focus in infrastructure, mining, oil and gas, and the power and process industries. Hard Dollar works with large companies spanning the globe, as well as smaller scale companies servicing their local market. So that's just a quick snapshot of Hard Dollar. So why don't we turn it over to Heather, and she'll take a minute to introduce Dexter Cheney.
Sure, yeah. For those of you who may not know, we are a Seattle-based software company serving the business management and operation needs of the construction industry. We have been around for more than 30 years with nearly 1,000 clients throughout the United States and Canada. And our Spectrum construction software is a full accounting, business management, and project management solution which provides contractors everything they need to manage their work and their business, not just from the office but in the field, and not just accounting but also operations and the entire scope from pre-construction to closeout. And we are now web-based, so our customers are able to access Spectrum from any device with a browser. So on your phone, on your tablet, you name it, you can get to Spectrum.
Fantastic. Thank you, Heather. All right, so let's transition and execute today's webinar. And again, let's begin by really just kind of talking about some of the business issues a lot of companies in the environment, in the industry face, and just talk and start with that. So when you think about project controls, there are many moving parts when controlling a project. There are multiple stakeholders and people. In most cases, there's multiple systems. There's a lot of data, and there's different types of information being generated from that data. Right? So in this type of dynamic environment, there's a heightened risk of project issues. And those issues could range from cost and schedule overruns to missed revenue opportunities to disappointing profits. Right? And over the last 24 years of working with contractors, EPCs, and owners in several industries, Hard Dollar has really identified a common ingredient to these business issues. And it really comes down to disconnection. And so when we think about all of the tools being used to control a project, right, in some cases there's design, takeoff, application, or tool, estimating, scheduling, performance measurement, and ERP. Right? And all of these systems contain data critical to controlling a project, whether it's driving the project lifecycle forward from one stage to the next or generating a KPI report. These scenarios and many others require data movement. And so moving data from in a disconnected environment, for the most part, things break. Right? Not tangible things, smashing on the floor, but if you think about it, in a disconnected environment, you're going to have a lot of manual, redundant data entry for reasons mentioned previously. Right? And in an environment like this, there's going to be, it requires resource-intensive and time-consuming processes when exchanging the data between these systems. And, this is going to most likely and most commonly result in risk of inaccuracies. Those inaccuracies could come from, errors as one is inputting the data, or just the fact that the data didn't get there in time, so it's outdated information is being shared with the team. Right? So it's really around that untimely reporting and project control teams having to be more reactive versus proactive as they're monitoring and controlling their projects. Right? So the obvious resolution to a disconnected environment is bridging the gaps, or in simple terms, integrating the systems. And so by integrating your systems, you are going to open up and automate the exchange of data from these different project systems, and ultimately eliminating the majority of the tedious manual redundant data entry that takes place in a disconnected environment. Right? And as that information is being driven, so some of the benefits by having this integration environment is you're going to have information that is being driven from the most up-to-date data. helping your project team be confident in the numbers that they are reviewing, and ultimately providing, increased accuracy in their reports, whether it's an estimate review, whether it's an earned value report, etc. And then ultimately, within a connected environment, again, with that timely data exchange, a project controls team is going to have immediate and more timely access to the information to help them make better project decisions. Again, being proactive and taking corrective action, and then ultimately reducing the risk. So don't take it from me personally. Hard Dollar and Dexter Cheney share mutual customers across the board. One in particular is Hunter Contracting. We engaged with Hunter Contracting several years ago, and their business goal was to increase project accuracy through more efficient processes, specifically by eliminating multiple manual data entry points between the project control team and the finance team. So they moved forward through a full evaluation and invested in a fully integrated project controls environment that includes Hard Dollar, Primavera, and Dexter Cheney.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
And as a result, they've been able to increase the accuracy of their estimate to actuals, as well as reduce their labor overruns by 15 to 20%. So if you'd like to learn more about Hunter Contracting and that particular case study, it is available through the link that you see on the slide, as well as I believe there will be a follow-up email to today's webinar that will include that case study attached. So let's go ahead and transition to Hard Dollar. And so when we think about the logical sequence of a project life cycle, right, in that initiation stage, and then now we move into estimating and planning. So we're gonna go ahead and set up a scenario that's more geared towards the contractor today, right, building up an estimate and pricing that out, ultimately winning that bid, and then transitioning your estimate from Hard Dollar to Dexter Cheney to set up that project for execution, monitoring, and controlling. So what I'll do is now jump into Hard Dollar and specifically talk about Hard Dollar's estimating capabilities. So as mentioned before, right, when we think about building up of an estimate, right, we help our clients create the most accurate, detailed estimate that is relevant to their project. And so in this case here, we're starting off with the schedule of values, or in this case, we're showing a unit price bid. Right, so we have our bid items that we received from the bid package, and then it's a matter of really starting to go through and make sure you're capturing all of the details, right? Where we can go from has to be can make scope detail that needs to be identified, such as quantities. And so Hard Dollar can integrate with takeoff and design applications and make it easy to align your quantity takeoffs with your estimate scope of work, right? But then as we move through, then it's a matter of really going ahead and maybe we're taking a bottoms-up approach where we're taking a crew-based type approach to the estimate, where we've got our, assigning our resources, whether it's a grading crew that's made up of operators and equipment and so on and so forth, right? to the next stage of identifying production. And what is that estimated production of our crews as we're going through this estimate? In this case, expressed in unit of measure per day, right? But having the opportunity to express it which is whatever way is most relevant to your project and your business. So in addition to that, there are many other details that an estimator is going to consider to ensure the most accurate estimate, right? Things such as, shift arrangements, right? How many days per week are we going to work, shifts per day, hours per shift? What about the different pay scales for our employees? Is there overtime, straight time, double time? So all of these are details that Hard Dollar can capture and recognize to ensure that our clients are building up, the most accurate estimate. In addition to that, Hard Dollar can connect through integration to scheduling applications in order to establish time within your estimate. So scope, cost, and time in your estimate, right? Again, through a direct integration to Primavera, which is a two-way integration, where we can send information from our estimate as a means to kickstarting a scheduling process and maintain a link so we can understand the impacts of a change from one to the other. Right? And really the result of bringing your scope, cost, and time into your estimate is the visibility into time-based type reporting or forecasting. For instance, looking at cash flow. So based on our estimate and the way we've priced it out, we have a forecast of our cash flow for this particular project. In addition to that, you can look at things such as resource utilization as well as other key metrics to not only estimating and planning your project, but as you move into execution as well. So once we've gone through and added all of these details, and we're really coming to kind of the final stages of wrapping up our bid before we get to pricing, we may want to validate or compare our current estimate to maybe historical information. Right? So in Hard Dollar, what I'll do is just filter down to this underground pipe assembly. Hard Dollar has the ability to allow clients to validate their estimate by reviewing their current estimate. Right? In this case, we're looking at our current costs that we've estimated for this particular underground pipe assembly. And right next to it, we can see benchmark values expressed in low, high, average, as well as a percentage variance between the average and our current estimate. And these benchmark values being driven from our historical database. And that historical information is could be based on either estimated historical information or actuals historical information. And in this case, those actuals could be fed back from Dexter Cheney into the Hard Dollar historical database to drive these benchmark values. Okay, so to kind of wrap up, if we, again, kind of finalize the estimating process here, the next stage is maybe identifying some of our indirect costs, right? Things such as contingency, escalation, taxes, job management and equipment indirect costs, small tools. And so Hard Dollar has that opportunity to go ahead and identify the different costs that make up your project, and as we can see here, get a very clear view into the estimate and how those costs are divvied up, if you will. Lastly, pricing. Once we validate our costs, we identify and calculate our indirect costs. We are obviously, from a contractor's perspective, we want to earn some profit on this. So Hard Dollar has full pricing capabilities that allow our users to be very strategic in the way that they spread their profit and overheads across their project, and in this case, from a unit price bid contract across those bid items themselves. And then as we move into submitting our bid, and now we've been awarded that bid, Hard Dollar has full export to full budget export. So the transition from winning that bid and now moving in and sending that information to Dexter Cheney is the logical next step. So at this time, I will go ahead and turn it over to Heather Smith, who will talk a little bit about Dexter Cheney and the remaining cycle here.
Okay, thank you. I understand we were having some audio problems with the audio, so I just wanted to reiterate, a quick little bit of introduction about Dexter and Cheney here before I hop into this piece of the puzzle. Like I mentioned before, we are a Seattle-based company serving business management and operation needs for the construction industry. And Spectrum is a full accounting, business management, and project management solution that allows contractors everything they need to manage their work and their business, office and field, accounting and operations, pre-construction to close out. So part of that is our full integration between our Spectrum system and Hard Dollars project cost management. And part of what we're able to do using our project setup product is to fully automate the method of transferring and tracking your project estimates from start to finish and then from finish back to start. You were able to import information directly into Spectrum, which eliminates the need to re-enter anything, which obviously saves time, increases accuracy, increases efficiency, and it allows us, sorry about that, to integrate all of the pieces of the project puzzle. So we're not just working with our direct job costs, but we're also able to initialize, set up, control, and track our subcontract costs and estimates and our billing processes. So we're able to, with one click, import information that'll set up subcontracts, it'll set up schedule of values, and as you wrap up your projects, there's this reverse compatibility option where you can create historic cost export files that you can use, send right back into Hard Dollar and use in crafting future estimates and analysis while doing takeoffs, for instance. So I thought we could take a quick peek at what that looks like in Spectrum proper. So over here, I'm going to head into Job Setup. And it's as simple as using this import screen right here to add in our job information. We upload a file. We'll browse for this. We would grab the file we were going to bring in. I've already brought it in, so we'll briefly skip over that. And here's all of our information for our estimate. Now, these would be for our costs. We can also, at the same time, import and bring in information about subcontracts if we have that information assigned or chosen at the point of importing the estimate. You can set up vendors, create subcontracts at the same time as you create your estimate. As well, we've got billing detail information, so you are also able to manage your contract, your unit pricing, your projected contract amounts, all of your billing details. This will all be set up at the same time as well. So what that means is as you're working through your project, we have access to our estimate at any time. This is going to follow us through the project. You can drill into this estimate, the stuff that we just brought in. We've got our costs. We've got our hours. We can track our variance to our actual job-to-date costs. And this project as a whole, as we're looking at this, is more tightly and accurately controlled by virtue of, from the very beginning of the process, bringing in a good estimate. And we're able to manage that in addition to all of our other costs. And it means reporting is made clearer and cleaner. Let's go down here and just take a look, for instance, at a job overview report really quickly. We'll be able to see all of that information that we just brought in and imported follows through to our job progress reports. So our estimate, as it comes in, is available to us all over the place. So we can always keep a tight handle on where our projected costs are, where our forecasts are, where our original estimate was, any variance we have from that original, all the way through our project from start to finish. So with that, I will hand this back to Ryan.
Excellent. Thank you, Heather. All right. So to summarize, the emphasis and focus today with our presentation was just really recognizing that there's a common pain point out there in the industries today when it comes to the disconnection of these project control environments. And there's a number of different factors that drive that. But again, as I mentioned earlier, the dynamics of a project controls environment where there's multiple people, multiple systems, multiple data, and different requests for information, all of which require that data is exchanged in a timely, efficient manner in order to provide the key information to help that team make the correct project decisions and be proactive in controlling it. So today's presentation was specifically focused on how organizations can leverage the synergies between Dexter Cheney and Hard Dollar in a fully integrated environment where Hard Dollar would be the best-in-class solution for the building up of your estimate, integrating with your scheduling system, and then ultimately exchanging data and providing that seamless, streamlined data exchange between Dexter Cheney as you start to execute, monitor, and control your project, and then ultimately take that information and feed it back into Hard Dollar to establish your, to go ahead and house that information and store it as historical information so you can use it as a means to validate your next project estimate as you go through and move forward into executing and bidding more projects. So with that said, what we'll do is open up for some Q&A. And Tony, I guess I'll turn that over to you. I don't know if you're going to unmute the mic or if we're just going to use chat.
No, we're good. We'll use the chat. So if you do have any questions, please use the chat function, the question function, and go to webinar. And again, I do apologize for the audio difficulties we had at the beginning for about the first 5 minutes. You all will receive an email this afternoon with a full recording of today's webinar that does have sound, I promise. And it looks like we do have a question for, first of all, for Ryan. In benchmarking, related to benchmarking, do you have the ability to control what historical information is driving benchmarking values?
Yeah, great question, and that question comes up quite a bit, if not always, when when I'm working with companies that are interested in the benchmarking functionality in Hard Dollar. So the answer is yes. So not only can Hard Dollar house all of your historical information, we are able to organize it in a way that you can filter and control what historical information is driving those benchmark values. So if we think back to that screen that I had up earlier, right, where we had the high, low, average, as well as the percentage variance, those numbers or those values were being driven from historical information that I had control over. Right? So for instance, if I had a historical repository containing hundreds of jobs over the last 10 years and different types of projects, right, I can go in and filter down and say, only utilize the jobs from the last couple of years, maybe only utilize different projects from different project types, geographical region, right? So there's a number of different filters that you can apply to, again, really filter down and make sure that you're using the most relevant historical information to drive those benchmark values. So hopefully that answers your question.
Great, thanks, Ryan. And again, if you do have questions, please use the question function on GoToWebinar. Heather, looks like we have one for you. How does Spectrum project setup handle changes to the estimate, scope changes or change orders that come in later?
Sure, that's another good one. In the spirit of integration, we're not just limited to an initial estimate that you can import and track. Certainly, any changes that come through, Spectrum will accept those as well, just the same way as you bring in your original estimate. So if you have things that come to the project later, if you've got scope changes that come in, you can import those as well and set them up so you're never stuck entering things in multiple places multiple times. You can always drag that in, import that in again, and it sends it off to all the places it needs to be.
Great. We do have another question coming in. This one related to international taxes. Can you incorporate tax structures from outside the U.S. into estimates?
Yes. Yes. There's a number of different ways to manage that in hard dollar. Everything from building up different tax rate tables within hard dollar. So the easy answer, if you will, and hopefully it's acceptable, is yes. We do manage that. We're able to accommodate that, but there are a few different ways that we can handle that.
Heather, anything you want to add to that from your perspective?
Yeah, I would nod my head yes to that as well. We can also accommodate, say, for instance, a Canadian tax structure or any place that has a goods and services tax or a value-added tax. We can accommodate that in addition to traditional United States sales tax type stuff. So yes, from Spectrum's end as well.
Sounds great. And again, we still have time for some additional questions. Sean, I'm sorry. Ryan, it looks like we've got one for you. In your example,
as you are absolutely right. Today's data example that I used was a unit price type contract where, again, we set up our pay items and broke those down into additional detail. So to answer your question, yes, absolutely. Hard dollar has the capability to build estimates and support the different contract types that a contractor may encounter, again, time and materials, lump sum, fixed price, etc. So absolutely, yes.
Heather, anything from your end?
Yep, sure. Same thing. I used a unit price example as well, but yes, from Spectrum's project setup side of things, you can import your unit price jobs as well as your fixed price projects, your time and material jobs, your cost-plus pricing methods. All of those can be used, and it will, interface across. If you're a big T&M biller, it'll set that stuff up for you, set up your T&M job information as well. So, yes, the example was a unit price. It tackles fixed price seamlessly as well, along with T&M, no problem.
Terrific. Any other questions from our attendees or from our audience today? We'll looks like we just had one pop up related to Primavera integration. You touched on that, Ryan. Where can people get more information on that?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I guess I quickly kind of highlighted that, but there is a lot to that. I mean, anytime you think about integrating and estimating systems with a scheduling system, right? There's a lot to that. So. What I can do at a minimum is direct you to our website, where we have a dedicated page to our scheduling integration, both for Primavera as well as Microsoft Projects. In addition to that, Hard Dollar does have a YouTube channel where we've got a number of different videos that one can watch. There are, I believe there's a couple different videos specific to our integration with Primavera that should give you a good next step into learning more about that. And then, of course, we're always available to have one-on-one conversation with you as well to do some more discovery around that.
And your website, Ryan, is harddollar.com, correct?
Yeah, harddollar.com is the website, and the YouTube channel. I don't know, that's you.
I believe it's accessible through the website as well. And Heather, your website for people that are looking for additional information?
Yep, our website is dexterchaney.com.
There we go. We even have it on the screen. Any additional questions? We have time for a couple more. Otherwise, we will thank everyone for your joining us today and for your patience. Again, we do apologize for the audio difficulties. You will receive an email this afternoon with a full repeat of today's webinar that has sound, and I believe we're also going to be sending some additional information out to you this afternoon. So once again, we appreciate you being with us. We thank you for your patience, and we will see you next month.